This is the Successful Life.
Welcome to the Successful Life podcast. I am your host, Corey Barrier, and I am here with Rose Bosworth. Hey, Rose, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
I did say your last name right, correct?
Correct, Bosworth.
Good, because I butcher most people's last name for whatever reason, unless it's like Smith, and then I'm pretty good. So, Rose, I'm so excited to have you on today. Rose is going to tell us all kinds of stuff today, and I don't know all of your story, Rose, and I am super excited to hear all the details of it because it's quite interesting, would you not say?
Yeah, it is. It's something like you would hear out of a weird story on the news or something.
Or maybe like ID channel even.
Yeah, probably.
And I don't mean to laugh. I'm not making light of it.
No, it's completely fine.
So Rose owns, you and your husband, right? You and your husband own Black Dragon Arms, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that is you guys sell guns? You guys, tell me about that.
So we sell guns. We are a gun shop initially. So we sell guns, ammo. We do gunsmithing. He Cerakotes, he blues. We do acid bluing, so it's a hot acid bluing to the rifle or firearm, whichever firearm. I am an instructor for the NRA. I teach basic pistol, Missouri CCW. I teach rifle, shotgun, and refuse to be a victim.
Wow, that's insane. So just out of curiosity, it's not often that I talk to too many women that have had that much experience with guns. It's pretty impressive. What in this, have you always loved guns? I mean, is this something you and your husband got into? How did that happen?
So, no, that kind of starts my story. So, actually, I was raised with guns, but not that often. My father had a few handguns, a little bit of hunting here and there. But no, my initial encounter with guns was I was married at a very early age, and the man that I got married to was not a very nice man. Within 2 years of us being married, he went out one day, got drunk, was high on drugs, and came home and thought that I had cheated on him. And obviously I didn't. And he went into our bedroom, pulled out a revolver, loaded it in front of me, and pointed the gun at my face. I don't know why. I don't understand. When you're in a situation like that, you don't really think, but something told me to grab the barrel of the gun. And when I did, I grabbed the barrel of the gun and I moved it to the left side of my face. And when I did, he pulled the trigger. The firearm went off, shot me in the left side of my neck. I have the hole right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's very tiny. It's right here. The scar going down the side of my neck is from the surgery to repair the muscle and the tendons inside of my neck that the bullet had damaged. The bullet never came out. It was lodged in the back of my neck. I have a scar on the back of my neck. I was in surgery for quite some time. They showed me the bullet when it came out after, recovery. The incident that had happened when it initially happened, I remember everything to a T. And when I was shot, I never heard the sound of that bullet coming off. I never heard it. I saw smoke. It's just like you see on a movie. I saw the smoke. And then I was like in shock. I never felt it. I didn't bleed. I quietly walked over to the couch and sat down and I said, "You shot me." And being that he was on drugs, he started freaking out, I think coming to realizing what had happened. And his response was, "Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do." Well, eventually I said, "Can you go call me an ambulance?" I had an amazing, amazing officers and first responders that assisted me through getting me from point A to point B. I was airlifted from the local high school to the hospital in St. Louis, Missouri, where they did my surgery. After that, I went to the police office. After recovery, I went home. They left me They let me go home after, I think it was like I was in there maybe a day or two. I can't remember all the details of that. But the police said, I need you to come and fill out a police statement.
I gotta stop you
So,
just. Can I stop you just 1 second?
sure.
So just to make sure everybody did hear that right, and make sure I heard that right, and I'm not delusional. You got shot in the basically the front slash side of your neck with a
Yes.
revolver. I'm assuming it was not too far away from your neck when you got shot.
It was within a couple of feet, like from, I don't know how to explain the distance, but it was close enough that I could reach out and grab the barrel of the gun with my elbow still. Like, it was close.
Oh my God, that's right. You did say that. So, wow, what the fuck, dude? Like, and I did see you get up and walk a moment ago, correct?
Correct.
Is that doesn't sound normal?
So no, where the bullet was lodged, my surgeon actually told me I'm a miracle. I'm very lucky. From where it was lodged in my spine, like it was within centimeters of my spinal cord, that I should be either paralyzed or dead. There's no reason for me to be walking and alive.
And did you also said there was no blood?
There was no blood. I never bled once.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. I don't know, but I didn't.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, what in the hell went through your mind? Do you
Well,
remember?
Well, I don't, because first of all, like I said, I was fairly young. I was actually 17 years old when I was shot. I don't remember thinking anything except for to sit still, don't move, don't move. I That's all I could kept thinking, and I was calm. I remember being very calm and not moving. And according to the first responders, that if the wrong move could have lodged, that bullet could have become dislodged from my neck and moved into my spinal cord. I do remember the helicopter ride.
Oh
I
my
I know I
God.
laugh about it, but I have to, because that's the way I cope with it. Um, Plus the years after that of getting past all that, I didn't have any kind of therapy with my neck. I kind of did it all on my own. I do have long lasting side effects from it. So like from where the center of my throat is all the way to like where your ear is, that's all numb. I have no feeling in that side of my neck. I have constant neck pain. When I go get a massage, she can literally feel the muscle that's tore and shredded from the damage.
Oh my God. The cold chills have not stopped since you started talking. Holy shit. I've never in my life heard anything like that ever. I'm almost speechless. I don't even know what to say. Like, what did he say?
So the only thing he really said during the time of the incident is, oh, look what you made me do. That's what the words that came out of his mouth were, look what you made me do. um when I went to the hospital, they put me in a room. I remember coming off the helicopter onto the helipad, which was on top of the building, and I can remember them covering my face. And then when they wheeled me down the hall, I remember seeing the lights. And they put me into a room where I think there was like 4 or 5 different doctors. I don't even know. They didn't want to move me as much as they possibly could, so they brought actually the x-ray machine to me, and they all kind of rolled me and took my x-rays. One of the things that they did do is, which I now looking back at my age, I wish they wouldn't have, is that they let him come in to that room. Yes. Yes. So within the time of the ambulance coming and me being airlifted, uh, he had time to come up with a story of what happened. And that was the story he wanted me to tell. And that was the story I told. So to them, it was an accident. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't on purpose. So they didn't know any better. So they let him in. when he came in, he said those things that most men that you hear about on TV say. He got down next to my face and he said, if you say the truth, I will go after your family. Meaning my mom, my siblings. Yes. So I didn't say anything. I kept it to myself. I kept his story and I said exactly what he wanted me to say.
I can not say I blame you.
Right, exactly. I mean, and then I stayed married to him for 10 years.
Oh my God. We're, I guess it's obviously it's safe to assume that you're probably too scared to go anywhere.
Right. I mean, when you are in a situation like growing up, you think, oh, the person that you marry is the person that's supposed to protect you, the person that is supposed to look out for you and whatever. That's the life that I knew, and I knew that internally, that it wouldn't, for me, it wasn't going to change. If I did whatever, he would still find me. He would still do this. So, and that's the only life that, like I said, that I knew. He, like I said, he wasn't the very best man. So I grew pretty much, he pretty much raised me because he was actually older than me too.
Oh my goodness. So, um,
I know it's a lot.
oh gosh, it really is a lot.
It's hard for people to understand because I do work in healthcare and I've had people say when they hear my story, they're like, you understand what some of these victims come in and, people are like, well, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave? And yes, I do understand where those victims are coming from. I mean, I had 2 children with him. My oldest is 21 and my youngest is 17. So, I mean, I completely understand. And then when you start having children, it makes it even harder to leave.
Well, even in a normal situation, I think that women, or maybe maybe even situations with men, I guess it's because you don't hear about the men as much, but because of the children, regardless of the abuse at home or whatever the case may be, they a lot of people do stay because they're scared for their own life, they're scared for their kids' lives, they're scared for both of the lives of both themselves and their kids. So I, I can't say I've ever been there, but I will say it makes sense why you didn't go anywhere because, I mean, what? I mean, God damn, the guy shot you in the fucking neck already, for God's sakes. Like, I
Right,
can't, it's hard. It's unbelievable.
right. Exactly. And like I said, I was with him for 10 years. And when I finally left, everyone wants to know what made me leave. That's the first thing when they hear my story and they find out everything. They're like, well, you were with him for 10 years. What made you leave? My son. I didn't want my son to grow up to be like his father. And a 17-year-old girl, mind you, I was married at 7. Well, I got married fairly younger, but this happened to me when I was 17. A 17-year-old girl stood by me the entire time when I went through my divorce. I had to stand in a courtroom and I had to tell them why I wanted a divorce in front of people that I didn't know. So, I mean, it was a roller coaster ride. Just people think, oh, just leave. It's not that simple because then you have to divorce them. And when you divorce them, then you're putting yourself out there for perfect strangers. So,
Well, not to mention that you're also putting yourself at a massive amount of
yes,
risk.
yes. Oh yeah. When I divorced him, he cut my brake lines, my master cylinder. He messed with my master cylinder on a car that I had. I was coming home from a mall with my children in my car, and I was coming down a windy road, and I had no brakes. And I don't know why I didn't, but I did 2 donuts in the middle of the road. I hit a tree, and then I went down backwards in an embankment, and on a tree stopped me, and on the other side of that tree was a 5-foot drop.
Dude, God's got a plan for you.
Exactly. That's
Holy cow.
and yeah. Eventually he gave up. But I mean, obviously I'm still alive. I mean, so
Where is he now? I'm hoping he's in prison.
no.
Of course
So
not.
the reason that he's not in prison is because of that lie. With him telling me to tell the police. So when I went to the police station, they had me fill out an incident report. During me filling out the incident report, I said exactly what he wanted me to say. Um, I had a police officer come in and told me to my face, "You're lying. We know you're lying." We had an officer, a woman officer, your size, your build, do exactly what you say happened. There is no way this happened. And then, yes, they tell you, "Oh, well, we can protect you. We can put him away for a long time." But when you're that young, you don't believe them. If he was able to do this, then, how are you going to, people think like that. How are you going to protect me? No one can. So he didn't go to prison.
Well, of course that's what you thought. What you had, well, what else were you supposed to think?
Right.
So I have to ask, like, okay, okay, let me ask you. The first question is, how long after did you give this report?
It was it was a couple of days after I went home. It was within days of going home from the hospital.
And is there, I guess it's a stupid question at this point, maybe, but is there not a way to go to have, I guess, gone back at a later date and said, I wasn't, this is really what happened? Or would it be like, you might as well had, it would have been would it have been pointless?
Are you talking about like statute of limitations type
I,
thing?
I don't, I guess so. Yeah.
So when I got divorced, I was 1 year late of filing a, a report saying that what I had said was that I lied at back then. There is a statute of limitations, and unfortunately, I missed mine. And unfortunately, other women had to suffer. I mean, not the extent that I did, but um, he hurt other women. So
Oh,
he
that
was a,
breaks my heart. Oh my God, that breaks my heart. So,
but yeah,
well,
he's still alive. He's still out of prison. He actually lives in the town that I live in. Um, yes. He didn't used to, but he does now. I think he's more afraid of me now. He's afraid of me. And I don't think it's because I own a gun store. I think it's because I've stood up to him. Um, when I got divorced, the judge, because of parental rights, he had parental rights to our children. So he got visitation with my children and with his parents. Um, so he was able to see them. Up until a certain age, my kids saw their dad until they decided they no longer wanted to. So I left that to their choice, their doing. I was not going to make that decision for them. But living in the same town, my husband now, I've been asked, how does he not want to go over and, kick his butt or something? And I don't know how he doesn't, but he's a very strong man, especially to deal with the baggage that I come with. So,
okay, so you did tell the judge all of this, and he still gave him visitation rights. He or
yes,
she judge,
yes, because he never hurt my children, our children. He never hurt them. It was all directed toward me.
and was there? Is it safe to assume there was abuse before and after this?
Yes. So
Okay,
you mean before the shooting?
yes.
Yes. So it was physical, mental, social isolation. It was so to the point to where I wasn't allowed to look at someone when they came into the room. If I looked at someone, he would hit me later. I couldn't talk to anyone. I was always cheating on him, always. He constantly thought that I was cheating on him, or that I was bad mouthing him, or something of that aspect.
Was he well, obviously he was mentally unstable, but and you mentioned drugs and you mentioned alcohol. Now that part I can identify with because I've not had a drink or drug in almost 11 years. um but 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 it never did that to me. um However, I can see how that would have probably could have played a part in it, or no?
So I think that he wouldn't have done the things that he like as far as the shooting. No, I think that was the drugs. That was the paranoia. Like he was. There were times like that were good times, and there were times that were bad times. But with the drinking and drug, he was constantly drinking. He always drank. There was a time that he wouldn't go to bed without a fifth next to his bed. The drugs got worse over time. It started with pain pills, then it went to crack, I guess, and
Yeah.
then eventually methamphetamines, and now I don't know. He was suicidal, schizophrenic now. From what I hear, he's very schizophrenic now. So,
Oh
and
my.
well, and I've heard recently he has now went into heroin. So,
Well, good for him. I'm
right.
sorry, but I
Oh,
mean, yeah.
it's yeah, yeah.
I mean, hopefully it kills him. It's the only thing I can say. I mean, unfortunately, but that's not really unfortunate. That is that I literally don't even know what to say. And for me to be speechless is typically not the case, but this is kind of like Andy's. This is obviously worse than Andy's story, but but similarly, Andy got stabbed in the face for something that.
I've heard Andy's story, and when I heard Andy's story, it touched me because I know those looks that people give you, especially when they see your neck. They're like, well, what happened to her? What happened? It wasn't my face. And yes, your face and your neck are the first thing people see when they meet you. And when their eyes and you're looking at them in the eyes and you see their eyes move to certain spots, you know that what they're looking at. And you know that they're questioning you or judging you or whatever. But yeah, I completely know where he's coming from. And when I heard his story, I could completely relate to him. And ever since then, I've been listening to everything he has to say. My husband and I both listen. We even listen to the AF program now.
It's that's I'm so happy that you found that story, and that because that's got to make you feel a tad bit better.
It does. It makes me feel like I'm in a way not alone, because
Sure.
I know that there are women out there who have gone through what I've gone through, not maybe to the extent that I have gone through, but to have someone else come out and tell their story, I think is when I heard his story, and I've heard other people tell me that I needed to have my story told, that there are people out there that probably need to hear my story. And it's hard to find those right of how to do it. I've thought about writing a book. I thought about, just coming out and doing it. When I went to college, I took all kinds of psych classes. I wanted to be a counselor for women like myself. And when I went and seen a counselor, I didn't like the way I was treated. So I kind of steered away from that.
And what was your experience with that?
Well, so when I went, she kind of just like not really listened, um, because I wasn't broken. So by broken, what I mean is they were meant to have someone. Okay, a woman in my situation is usually statistically becomes an addict, an alcoholic, prostitute, or continues along the line of following a man who is exactly like the last one, and it's a cycle and it keeps repeating itself. I didn't do that. When I got away from my ex-husband, I tried to better myself. I didn't have a high school diploma. My ex-husband refused to let me go to finish because there were boys there, and boys would be interested in me. So I went and I got my GED. I took night classes. I worked. I raised 2 kids by myself. I did night classes after I graduated. After I got my GED, I immediately rolled into our community college, and I took as many classes as I could take. Um, and then I got a job at the local hospital, and then now I own a gun store.
Can I just say, like, how brave I think you are and how proud of you I am? That is so unbelievable that after all of that, that you didn't wind up like how you just described, because how easy would it have been just to, pick up some of those things with him just to cover up the pain. Shit. And you absolutely need to write a book. Are you kidding me? Holy cow. So, how long did it take you to, you're married now. How long did it take you to be able to even go out with another man?
So I grew up, I knew that all men are not the same. Every woman is told, or we all think, and men think we think that all men are the same, which we do. Because and it's not the men that are the same, it's us. It's the men that we're choosing. So when I started dating, I think it took me 5 years to date someone. And then when I started dating, I was standoffish, which, like I said, my husband is a God bless him, because I don't know how he deals with me. Because I'm very insecure. I'm I question everything. I judge everything. It's crazy. And I don't know how he does it, but but him and I dated prior to getting married. We dated, but I don't know. We dated once and it didn't work out, and then somehow or another we kind of just found each other again. But I haven't really dated many men since my ex-husband, because it is hard to trust men, whether you think that they're going to hurt you or other aspects. I mean, it's hard to trust, and I still have problems trusting. And it's sad to say, but at times I even feel like that toward my son. So I mean, because I'm afraid he's going to become like that.
Well, I think that is completely normal to have those thoughts.
Right.
And to be insecure is, I would imagine that would be completely normal. And that, when you said that, I thought about, I recently had a realization that, that I compare myself with everybody. And I used, for the longest time, I never, well, for years, I never realized that. And I went and I had a spiritual experience. And when during that spiritual experience, it was clear as day for me that that is exactly what I do. And I think a lot of people do that. And I think most everybody probably compares themselves to another person at some point in their life, or maybe always. I don't know, but I think it's more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it's normal, but I just never realized I was that that I did that as often as I did, and so I'm really working hard on that now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine going through what you did and not being able to have. I mean, not having those thoughts. Not.
Right.
I mean, my goodness.
And I'm very vocal about my thoughts, especially with my husband, so he understands what I'm thinking when I'm thinking it, or how I'm feeling. And that's one of the things that I think women that have gone through the things that I have, that they don't think about. When you talk about your experiences with a man that you get with, to tell him what you're feeling when you're feeling it. That way he can help you earn that trust in him. And I think that's how I got to where I am, is because I do talk to him about how I feel, and he reciprocates to me, and it helps me get past it and get through it.
Well, that's what he's supposed to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That is what he's supposed to do. You know, I was just talking to my wife today, and she had an eating disorder pretty bad, and almost and choked my daughter's in the next room, so I had to be quiet, a little bit quiet. But she choked on a piece of broccoli one time when she was 16, and almost died in a bathroom by herself. And
Wow.
and so you were talking about telling your story, and it's interesting because a lot of our conversations today have been around her starting to open up about these things because there's healing in that, and I think you probably can attest to that.
Yeah, there is. Um, Talking about it makes it a lot easier. It makes it easier on you, and especially when you have someone else talking back to you from a different perspective. Like for the longest time, I thought it was my fault. For some reason, the things that I went through is my fault. It's my fault. But I must have done something, and which what all women think and that get put in that situation. We did something wrong. And when you got someone else telling you no, and they give you a different point of view, it makes you realize, oh my God, yeah, it wasn't. I didn't do anything. So it is good to talk about anything and everything you can with whoever, someone that's close to you. My journey talking about it started with that 17-year-old girl. And then it kind of grew the more that I talked about it. And then people would approach me and ask me questions about my neck. And it kind of just, I started opening up more and being more able and easier to talk about.
I just realized that you were 17, and then a 17. I didn't register earlier when you said it until now. But how ironic is that the similarities there?
There is a lot of ironic things that happened to me. But yeah, it is. It very is. She was in high school, and I don't know how she got through to me, but she did, and we're still friends to this day.
Gosh, I bet.
Yeah. So
So, you you said you haven't told your story a lot publicly. Is that correct?
no, I only told it to well, my husband, my children know bits and pieces of it, and then close coworkers. That's about it. That not really anyone knows my story.
Now, I'm going to say something that um this is what I explain to my wife, and I just tell her that if you don't, if for her, and in your situation is far different than an eating disorder, but if she doesn't talk about it and put it out there, there's a chance that somebody could really suffer because she didn't talk about it.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Which is one of the reasons that I took my classes. So um taking the NRAs, I became an NRA instructor because I wanted to help women and children. It's not the gun that did this to me. It was a man that did this to me. That gun would have been laying under the mattress or in a drawer or in a cabinet. It wouldn't have floated magically into the living room, hovered over my face, and pulled its own trigger, which, mind you, it was a single revolver, so the hammer had to be pulled. So it wasn't like you pull the trigger and it goes off. The hammer had to be pulled to go off. So, and that's something that I've learned since being an instructor. You know, I it's weird how my life has come in together. Being the fact the raised that I was raised, getting married, being shot, and then knowing that there has to be a reason for me to be here. There is a reason that I am still on this earth. And the only thing I can come up with is where I am right now and where I plan to be going in my future. Opening the gun store, I have already talked to so many women who are afraid of a gun, who want a woman to teach them because they are, in my situation, I would have been afraid of a man to teach me how to use a gun. I would have rather had a woman. One, we know how we each dress. We know the dangers of what we as women are out there. Because it's different for men and women. We're opposites on different levels. So that is one of the reasons I became an instructor. I also have that refuse to be a victim class that I teach, which is a non-lethal class. It has nothing to do with firearms whatsoever. It's different aspects of our lives to make us more aware and to protect us at a different level than a firearm could do.
So do you mind delving into that for a second? Because I don't know if I know exactly, I mean, maybe I can guess, but I don't know exactly what that is, that class.
The Refuse to be a Victim?
Yes, ma'am.
So the Refuse to be a Victim is an NRA class. It teaches you on today's level. So going to a bank, the certain things you should do, like if you go to the ATM machine or going inside the bank, driving in your car, getting out of your car. For example, one of the things that I do, and I learned this from another woman, was when you get in your car, lock your doors immediately. Don't wait for to put in, to turn that ignition on, and if you have the newer cars, the locks automatically lock. Older cars don't do that. So one of the things I learned was to lock your door as soon as you get in, before you start messing with your keys or finding your keys. That way no one can jump in your car while you're sitting in it. When you pull up to a gas pump, a lot of people leave their purses, a lot of women leave their purses on a seat. Lock your doors, open your driver's door, and all the other doors stay locked. Just that driver's door opens. So it's simple things to teach you. Less cell phone time. One of the big things, and my kids are notorious for it. Get off your cell phones and pay attention to what's going on around you. There is a huge world out there, and you're missing so much being on these phones, games, and it's the new world, and it's so sad. I mean, they have no idea what life was like 20 years ago. So that's what Refuse to be a Victim is. It teaches you common sense that seems like it's been lost.
Are you kidding? I would have never thought about those things ever, but I'm so glad that you shared them with me, because I'm going straight downstairs when we get off this call, and I'm going to be like, hey, do you do these things? And she's going to be like, I'm guessing she's going to say, I don't even think about it, because it's like you said, it's that common sense is not so common.
Right.
Wow. So, so you do help. You really do help women already, just in a different avenue, sort
Exactly.
of, right?
I try to, yeah.
That's
Yes.
incredible. So, I don't know if I've ever talked to I don't know if I've ever talked to an NRA instructor, period, but I certainly have not talked to a female NRA instructor. Is that a common thing?
So there are a few female NRA instructors. In my area, I am the only one.
Really?
So the nearest female instructor would be like down in the Boot Hills of Missouri area that I know of. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's pretty damn cool.
Well, when I did my courses, I was the only female with 6 guys. So, yeah.
That's
And then I just recently got my NRA CCW, which is different than Missouri. So Missouri CCW, I don't know what your state's CCW is like, but here it's an 8-hour class. You just have to shoot and hit a target. The NRA CCW is more detailed. You have to literally draw from concealment. It's timed. It's different stages. It's more intense. One-handed, two-handed, 5 yards, 10 yards. So yeah.
well, it should be.
Yes, it should
I
be.
mean, you made a very good statement earlier, and you said, you said, well, the gun didn't shoot itself. Well, that's, when you hear about all these damn gun laws, it's like, it's not the people that legally own the guns typically. It's the people that don't legally own the guns. And guess what? I don't give a fuck what kind of law you've got. Those people are still going to get the guns.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna tell you right now, my ex-husband should not have had a gun. He was a felon. He should not have had that gun, and I'm gonna tell you right now, he got it in other ways. There are other ways. Even if they were to ban every gun, firearm out there, there are still ways that people are going to get them regardless of any law that they put out. If there's a will, there's a way. They will find a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's no secret to the listeners that I have. I got caught with drugs in 2005, so I'm a convicted felon. I sure as fuck don't have a gun. And, I but I don't know if I would have a gun because I don't know that I feel comfortable having a gun because I don't know that much about guns.
Well, that's why you would find someone like me.
Right, that's a great point. That's a really good point. So how often do you get to teach people?
So I don't get to teach that often because I do a lot of the behind the scenes at the shop. I do have another job at the hospital. But we have a class coming up on the 16th of this month and the 23rd of this month. I do plan in June to start more classes. I have actually, at the end of this month, I have another class I'm taking to get another certification for basic pistol. So for Missouri. And then at the beginning of June, I have a women's workshop I'm going to. So, and I'm super excited about. So it's women helping women in business. So, and then after that, I plan to start teaching as many women that will come in and let me teach them.
Well, I hope that and I'm sure there will be with your women's business thing. That's going to be, if I imagine, it should be a big turnout, and if it is, that's going to be super helpful for you, and more importantly, it's going to be super helpful for them.
Right. I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't know, I'll test this out when we finish our call, and I'll ask my wife that question if she knows it, hey, if you were to want to buy a gun, would you even know how to go about doing that? And I'm guessing her answer is going to be no. I, I, and I bet most women, that's probably their answer.
Right. Right.
So there should be more awareness. So I'm glad that you're doing that because that's really what you're doing, is bringing a lot of awareness.
Right. Well, my goal eventually is I want to get into the school systems. I want to be able to teach our children. Back years ago, they used to let my husband used to go to school and they had their hunting class in school. They brought rifles into school. I don't want to bring guns into school, obviously, no, but these kids need to be taught proper. And the only way I know how is to teach them the way I was taught and teach them good, firearm skills.
Absolutely. I never really thought about that, kids needing to know, but you're right. I mean, if my well, like I said, we don't have guns, but if she, or most kids, I'm guessing, don't have a clue how to operate or not operate or anything, and they could pick up a gun very easily. They make stuff so real now, at the store that, hell, sometimes I wonder if there's a difference, because they make them look so real.
Right. Well, see, with all the school shootings, I don't know if kids honestly understand that once you pull that trigger that it's done, it's over. They're not being taught that it is a deadly weapon. It will kill you. There is no repeat. There's no restart. People that I know joke, the kids today, they think it's all a video game because they're being taught, shooting with Call of Duty or whatever. But real life is not like a video game. And when I say bring it into the schools, I mean bringing and designing a program to educate kids on what to do. When I was a kid, we had McGruff, we had the crime fighting dog, and he would tell you what to do if you saw a gun. You walk away, you don't touch it, you tell an adult. Kids today, I don't think know that. I don't think they understand what to do or what would you do. They may even think it's a play gun and pick it up. When we were kids, I was taught whether it's a play gun or a real gun, you tell an adult. That's what I was taught growing up.
I'm trying to think. Okay, so the crime dog, I do absolutely remember that. My stepfather he's an NRA member, and he's got a million guns. He would load his own
reloading his own ammo.
Right, shows how much I know.
We do
that.
that.
Yeah, so, but But now, thinking back, nobody ever really explained anything to us other than, I guess, don't touch his shit, maybe. I don't know. I
Right.
don't remember.
Or I'll whip your butt, maybe.
Right,
You get a
right.
butt whipping. Yeah. Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's weird. Like I can sit back and I can look at how like the timeline has changed from when we had McGruff, and then it kind of like he went away, and the kids today, my kids have no idea what I'm talking about. To them, I'm an alien and I'm talking a foreign language to them about like what we had they can't believe that when I was in high school there was no internet. To them, they have no clue what I'm talking about. That there was no cell phones. You had the huge, Saved by the Bell
Yes.
phones.
Yes.
So, I mean, to them, they don't understand. And I can kind of guess, I can see how our parents were like, well, you don't understand what life was like when they were little either. So, I mean, but the world has changed in 20 years. And as adults, we have to adapt to that to help our children understand the things that they're not being taught, that we
You,
were taught.
right. It's ironic that you say that, because my wife and I were sitting on the couch last night and we were talking, and she said, Corey, she's younger than me. She was like, we've been through tapes and CDs, and I went, well, I've been through records, and and then my grandparents had an 8-track
Yep,
in
I
their
remember the 8 tracks.
car.
Yep.
And she was like, yeah, I've never seen one of those. I'm like, it was the way things are now, it is so drastically different.
Yeah.
So drastically different.
Yeah.
And things are so much more complicated, but and I'd like to think it's for the better, but sometimes I wonder, because the shit that comes through our phones is damaging.
Yeah.
I mean, look at where we are right now with this craziness,
Right.
and especially your state is getting hammered really hard, right?
Well, kind of. So, being a gun store, we've been open this entire time. So we were deemed essential. And I also work at the hospital. The state itself, our governor has allowed small businesses to reopen in waves. So, for example, I've already gotten a massage from my local masseuse. I'm gonna tell you right now, she owns a small business. I already got one. I was the first one in the door. Then my husband was the second one in the door. The nail salon is open. I'm planning to go tomorrow to get my nails done to a local business. Our local t-shirt company. She's a mom and pop t-shirt company. I've been there. We're ordering shirts. We're getting her going. We're trying to do what we can to help everyone. When we eat our lunches at the shop, we're eating local small businesses. So I don't know about what it's like in like the big cities. I do live in a rural area, but the people still out here are scared. They're scared to leave their homes. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when all this hit, we got sold out 3 times through ammunition, firearms. I mean, it was crazy. People out here are getting prepared. They don't know what to expect. So,
Well, and rightfully so.
right.
Fortunately, I don't watch the news, and I
Oh,
don't
we
get
don't
any.
either. We
Yeah,
don't watch the news either.
yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what mine and your state of mind would be. I guess I can't imagine, because look around. Because that's what's going on. People that are glued to the television, when you have a conversation with them,
Right.
because
Oh, yeah.
it brainwashed one way
Yep.
or the other.
Yep. And it's hard because you don't know what to believe. And if kids today were to watch the news, like, okay, we don't have news. We don't have the television in our home. We rarely watch anything. If we watch anything, it's probably a movie. But kids today, if they were to watch it, they would be freaking out because they don't know what to believe. And that's so sad. I remember when the TV, I can remember when the TV used to go off at night and you'd see the lines on across the screen. That's
Mhm.
how old I am. But it's I don't even know what to say to that, because I try not to be political, but then I do, because if you look at my Facebook page, it's very political. But people need to search do their own research and figure it out for themselves. You know, we all have that internal instinct inside of us. You know, just like when I was bringing this back, just like when I was shot, that the instinct inside me not to move or whatever it was. I mean, I don't even know what that was telling me, you know, to stay calm, not to freak out, to, you know, panic. We have that internal instinct inside of us that knows when something's right or when something doesn't feel right. So, I mean, and we all can only be the judge of that instead of letting people tell us what to think.
I agree.
I mean, I agree on both sides. You know, I have friends that are very liberal minded, very democratic minded, very Republican. It doesn't matter. We're all human in the end, and we all have to survive this world somehow. We need to coexist regardless of what your beliefs are. I remember when you could go and no one cared who you voted for. No one cared how much money you had in the bank. I remember, you know, it's not like that anymore, and it's very, very sad.
I agree. I totally agree. Um, yeah, it's, and I don't think we're through. You know, honest to God, Rose, I don't think we're through even the worst of it.
Oh
This
no.
seemed like the worst, but this is
Oh,
not.
oh no. Me and my, so I like to indulge in a little bit of conspiracy theories. I like to listen. And then I make my own judgments. You know, I'm like, okay, is that legitimate? Could that really happen? But there's no telling where this can go. There's no
It,
telling. I
mm-mm.
mean, as far as we know, they could say, "Oh, another flu has been released. Another pandemic is going on." There's multiple. I mean, we don't know what is going to happen. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I've already said this, I will not shut my shop.
Good,
It unless they force me to, I will not shut.
and you
so,
shouldn't.
so
I'm glad to hear that because a lot of people are like, are shutting down, have shut down, and they're so scared to reopen because of what? And I thought about this today, and I'm like, well, what the fuck are they going to do? What are they really going to do? They're going to make you? They're going to what? Arrest you? No, at least I don't think.
well, they arrested a woman down in Texas.
Oh, did they?
A hair salon lady. Yeah, she opened her hair salon. They arrested her, but they released her. So I think it was either the mayor or somebody told him to release her. So yeah,
Wow,
someone was. I know.
unbelievable.
I would have never thought I would see the world like it is now. It's crazy, and the crazy part is, and I think the reason why it's so scary is because it's not happening in just one spot. It's happening everywhere. So that's why it makes it so scary, and that's why people, I think, in my opinion, believe the worst. They think it's as bad as it is.
Right, and I have to question that. I have to question the numbers. I have to question if
Oh yeah.
any. I don't know, dude. My mother-in-law is knee deep in this shit, and my mother for that matter.
Right.
And we were talking yesterday, and she was like, "Well, I mean, it's 1 point whatever," and I'm like, "Do you really think it's that high? Really? I mean, because." Mm, she was like, "Well, I mean, CDC said it." I'm like, "And what the fuck does that mean?"
We put way too much faith in that. I'm telling you, we put way too much. That's like everyone turning to the news to tell them what is going on. You know, who do you believe? Every news channel is something different, or God knows what. I mean, what
So
happened to the
true.
days of reporting like good journalism? You know, accurate live stories. But nope, not today. It's
No,
sad.
yeah, it's just. I mean, it's a dirty ass business, is what it is.
It is. And they say politics is bad.
Right, right. And I mean, how I don't know how people are not aware that like you just said, if you can turn on channel X or channel Y and you got two separate stories at the same time at 6 o'clock at
Yep.
night. And it's
Yep.
like, how how do you know who's telling the truth? Like, and for me, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna waste my fucking time thinking about watching this shit because who knows what they're, it doesn't make sense
Right.
to me. But I'm abnormal. I don't know.
No, there's more people like that than you know that think like that.
Well, I
A
mean,
lot.
and yeah, it's a mess. Rose, this has been fantastic. Your stories really touched my heart. Like, you have been through the shit. I mean, you have really been through the shit.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. Um, well, I I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up, but I did want to ask, what do you mind me asking, what do you do at the hospital?
So I'm an EEG tech. I
Okay.
monitor waves, seizures, strokes, cardiac arrest, and overdoses. Yeah,
Wow. Well, that's kind of ironic too, isn't it?
exactly. I told you I have a very ironic life.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, you were clearly here for a reason, and man, I'm so happy that I got to sit down and talk with you today, and I look forward to reading that book when it comes out.
I, I, I've secretly kind of started writing it, but I don't know where to go from where I'm at.
Well, I mean, it's like I told my wife, she's actually in the exact same spot. And I said, just write. And if it doesn't make sense, you could always change it. It's not like you're going to publish it tomorrow. Just write,
Right.
just write, and maybe a thought or something will come out of just the pen to paper or ever how you're doing it. Um, you know,
Yeah. And that's kind of what I did. But the way mine started is it's more like it almost sounds like a thriller book. Like not my story, like one I'm making up is what it sounds like.
well,
And then,
yeah. I don't think you could. I don't think you could tell the story without someone questioning if you're making it
right,
up
if
because
it's
it's
real or
so
not. Yeah.
wow. Well, I just want to thank you so much for sharing this with me because it's really special.
Thank you for listening. I mean,
Yeah,
it is kind of hard. I will admit I was nervous because it is potentially a lot of people listening to my story that I didn't expect it all at once to happen. So,
absolutely,
but I feel very grateful that you reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we talk?" So,
absolutely. Well, would you like to leave? Would you like to tell everybody where they can find you on
sure.
social and your gun store? Can you tell us the name of that again? I was black something.
Okay, so so our gun store is Black Dragon Arms LLC in Union, Missouri. I am Rose Bosworth or Rosemary K. Bosworth. I have an Instagram at Rosemary Bosworth or Black Dragon Arms LLC.
Fantastic. Rose, thank you so much for coming on, and you have a fantastic day.
You too. Bye.